that.
It won't let him in the facility to work out. You don't want him working out anywhere else because he's not covered. So if he gets hurt somewhere else, he's going to go on the NFI list, the non-football injury list, and not get his money. So,
ladies and gentlemen, the Las Vegas Raiders have finally resolved the Chandler Jones situation, at least for right now. We're going to break down what putting Chandler Jones on the NFI list actually means for the Raiders. We also have some injury updates regarding some star wide receivers. New reports are coming out about the Raiders' performance so far through 2 games in the regular season, and now they have a perfect matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers, where they could take advantage of this opportunity at home, pick up a victory and get right back on track, or repeat the same mistakes they've been making all season long, and maybe a new chapter of the Raiders may be upon us soon. So let's start off with good news, because I know us Raiders fans do not have much good news lately. I guess we can take solace in the fact that the Raiders defeated the Broncos by 1 point in week 1, but this is a Broncos team that is now 0-2 and recently lost to the Washington Commanders. It doesn't get much lower than that. Hey, Eric Bieniemy looks good. Is he looking for a head coaching job next year? But the good news for the Raiders is Davante Adams looks to be participating, looks to be practicing this week. And also Jacoby Myers, who had 2 touchdowns in week 1, he's practicing as well. He has a red non-contact jersey underneath his jersey, so he's not fully ready to go. He's still going through the steps of the concussion protocol. But it seems optimistic, and it seems likely that the Raiders will have both Jacoby Myers and Davante Adams against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if this is the case, the Raiders could really take advantage of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, they have a great pass rush. They have players like TJ Watt on that front 7, but their secondary is getting up there in age and not quite elite. You got Patrick Peterson, who has a little bit of gas left in the tank at cornerback. I don't know if this guy is going to be able to hang against Davante Adams and a healthy Jacoby Myers. But this is just another box that the Raiders are able to check, and there's some more boxes they're able to check before they're heading into this game against Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going to be a tough one. They got a good offensive lineman, and I'm pounding the table for the Raiders offensive line in terms of pass protection. I know it has not been good running the football, bad run blocking, and obviously Josh Jacobs is not fully at 100% since he just started practicing just a few weeks ago. But Jermaine Illuminor, right tackle, according to PFF Las Vegas Raiders, no tackle has pass blocked as much as Jermaine Illuminor. 54 snaps without giving up a single hurry, a single hit, or a single sack. That is absolutely amazing to have that on the right side, and you're not even paying this guy too much money. And on the left side, obviously Colton Miller, a former Gruden draft pick in 2018, is holding it down. 54 pass blocking snaps, only 1 pressured allowed according to PFF, and an 82.7 pass blocking PFF grade, the 6th highest among all tackles, whether they're on the left side or the right side. So I bring all this up to tell you that yes, I know the Buffalo Bills were a tough opponent for the Raiders in week 2, and we should just make excuses for McDaniels because, oh well, the opponent's tough. But I believe we do have the roster and we do have the players, at least on the offensive side of the football, to have a top 10, hell, a top 5 offense in the NFL. There is no excuses why we should not be getting the football to these playmakers, and also Hunter Renfrow, who only has 1 target on the whole entire season, by the way. And you should be able to have time in the pocket to distribute the football to these playmakers because, according to PFF and according to the eye test just watching the game, this Raiders offensive line is good in pass protection, so take advantage of it. But for some reason, the Raiders can't freaking score. I know you can't run the football, but we just talked about the kind of roster we have. And other than the Carolina Panthers, who have nothing on offense, and the Bengals, who have an injured Joe Burrow, who's not ready to go, he's got the messed up calf. Well, the Raiders are tied with both of these teams in points per game. They are in last place tied with these two teams, 13.5 points per game. And we can keep on making excuses as to why this is the case. We can say, oh, it's just 2 games, but the clock is ticking and we got to monitor this. We have an offensive genius as a head coach who knows all the right players to get rid of, and he can get it done with his guys. And he has Jimmy G, his guy, who's just such a winner and such a winner out there in San Francisco. It's funny how some Raiders fans only care about Jimmy G's wins in San Francisco and McDaniels wins in New England, but for some reason we don't care about the wins we had in 2021 with Rich Bisaccia and John Gruden. I rest my case. I'm still gonna try to be optimistic and say, hey, I think this team can turn it around. I hope and I freaking pray this team turns it around, down for my own sanity, but I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for Josh McDaniels. I'm showing you the facts right here. Got a good roster, got some good players, but for some reason we can't run the football and we can't distribute the football to our playmakers. You tell me why. And we know the Chandler Jones situation just does not stop, and the Raiders would be a much better team if this guy was even the same player as he was last year and on the football field. And it's actually disappointing to see this happen, but apparently Chandler Jones is letting you know he needs more followers on Twitter, so make sure you give him a follow. And it's just been so weird how the Raiders have been radio silent on this issue. They just say it's a personal matter. Josh McDaniels always looks scared as hell when he's asked about this, and he always says that he can't talk about it, he can't say anything. Well, the Raiders have finally made some things official. Ian Rappaport reporting today that Chandler Jones, after 2 weeks already in the regular season, is being placed on the NFI list. Now, what does this mean for the Raiders? What does this mean for Chandler Jones? What is the NFI list? Thankfully, we have a great article by Larry Holder of The Athletic that breaks this down perfectly. The NFI stands for non-football injury, a non-football injury related list. That is what the NFI list is. And typically, this is done for a player suffering an injury away from the team's practice facility, and it could be during personal training, recreational activity, vehicle or home incident, a long-term illness outside of football, or an injury that occurred during a college season that prevents a player from starting on his rookie deal. And typically players are placed on this list in mid-June when they've been working out away from the team's facility. Keep in mind, Chandler Jones has been saying that he is locked out of the Raiders facility. He's not allowed there. He's not able to work out there. He even joked around about having to work out at a local gym, talked more about this the other day, posted an Instagram video about it. And this is very dangerous for players to be working out away from the team's facility, because then they are not covered. They can go on this NFI list.
In the facility to work out, you don't want him working out anywhere else because he's not covered. So if he gets hurt somewhere else, he's going to go on the NFI list, the non-football injury list, and not get his money.
But according to Ian Rappaport, the Raiders are putting Chandler Jones on this NFI list for a personal issue, resolving his personal matter. This makes it sound like he did not get an injury at the local gym. Maybe this is just a mental health crisis. We know the Raiders have been sending crisis response workers to his home, even though Chandler Jones denies the fact that he's going through a mental health episode. So Chandler Jones already missed 2 games while on the active roster. The NFI list forces him to miss at least 4 games. But this also means that he does not count against the Raiders roster, so they're going to be able to add another player for these upcoming 4 games. But here's where things get tricky and things get really complicated going forward. Chandler Jones can eventually be activated from this NFI list. But while he's on this list, unlike the injured reserve list, teams are not obligated to pay a player's base salary if he sustains this injury or ailment outside of the team's watch and remains on this list. Now, this would sound great for the Raiders and not Chandler Jones. However, Chandler Jones' base salary is actually very small, $1.1 million. Most of his money is coming from signing bonus, roster bonuses, plus restructures and workout bonuses. That makes up the bulk of his contract. And typically teams settle with players on the NFI list, so the Raiders really aren't going to save much money this year by putting him on the NFI list. So the Raiders are essentially saving a roster spot for now, but kicking a can down the road, and they're going to have to address this situation eventually. Chandler Jones has made some wild claims about the owner of the Raiders, about the head coach of the Raiders, and the general manager of the Raiders. If these really are false claims, they should be able to do something serious about this. But it seems like for whatever reason, they're holding out hope that Chandler Jones will come around, or something else is going on. Maybe he's holding something over their head. Either way, putting Chandler Jones on the NFI list is the first step in the right direction to eventually resolving this issue. And regardless of what's happening behind the scenes, I think at the end of the day, the Raiders intended on Chandler Jones being their starting defensive end this year and working in Tyree Wilson slowly, and they were planning on that being the reason why this defense excels. They thought that, hey, maybe we can't flip the entire defense in just one season, but maybe we can have an amazing pass rush with 3-star players leading the way, Tyree Wilson and Chandler Jones and Max Crosby. And ultimately, if the Raiders are trying to win now, they're going to try to get Chandler Jones on the football field as soon as possible. And the fact that they put him on the NFI list, leaving him out for 4 additional games, it'll be 6 total games that he will not have played for the Raiders this year, just shows that maybe this situation has gone so far out of hand that they they do not see an end in sight that results in him coming back on the football team. We'll keep you up to date on everything happening with this case, and we'll be going live during the Raiders versus Steelers game on Sunday Night Football this week. Hopefully we can get back on track and this could end in a dub. My name is WiFiWillie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.